Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're having an awesome day. I have another album review plus first listen for you guys. I was going to do Cher's newest album. She's releasing the ABBA covers album. I thought it was going to be released this past Friday. I was mistaken. I was off by 1 week. It's actually being released next week, so that's my bad. So kind of to fill the void until that album is released next Friday, I am going to do a different album review for you today. I was going to do Josh Groban's newest album, but I saw that the Cash Me Outside girl, Danielle Bregoli, has just released her debut album, 15, so why the hell not? So today I am reviewing 15 by Danielle Bregoli, aka Bhad Bhabie. So this is really interesting. This is going to be solely an album review and first listen. We all know she is most infamous for her stint on Dr. Phil. Cash Me Outside is her iconic catchphrase. And here she is, 15 years old, 2 years later. She's releasing her first studio album. There are quite a few tracks, so I will get into them for you guys. I have not listened to any of these tracks yet, so this is a new experience. So sit back and enjoy, and let's get into it. Okay, so starting off, the album is her first track called 15. It is an intro, so here it is called 15 by Bhad Bhabie. Fifteen. 15. So let me just say, I mean, kudos to this girl. She is really turning something that was initially negative, her stint on Dr. Phil, into more of a brand, doing everything she has been for the last 2 years. Haters going to hate. I mean, she's only 15 years old and she is raking in the money. And you know what, at the end of the day, kudos to her. The title of the first track itself is called 15. 15 minutes of fame. She is 15 years old, 15K or whatever, 15 this, 15 that, 15 to life, 15 to everything. 15 is such a pivotal iconic number to her. This is a hip-hop slash rap album, and from what I've heard so far, it actually isn't half bad. I mean, if there wasn't the stigma or the affiliation with Dr. Phil, if she kind of just came out of the blue, no one knew who she was, I don't think she would be getting as much hate as she is now. She's fairly decent, and if anything, she's gonna keep growing with each album she releases, and with maturity, and with age. So now we are moving on to track number 2, called Juice, featuring YG. Okay, so that was Juice featuring YG. Fairly decent track, fairly good. I actually enjoyed it. Nothing wrong with it, in my opinion. It was fairly dope. So now we are moving on to track number 3, Gucci Flip Flops featuring Lil Yachty. I think that's how you say it. Okay, so that was a Gucci Flip Flops. I gotta say, I'm a little shook. I'm a little shook. This is not half bad. She definitely has talent, regardless if you like to think she does or not. She actually does, and comparing her to someone like Cardi B, I mean, who knows? But, she definitely has it. I'm actually kind of shook so far. Um, would I typically listen to this album? Probably not. I see a lot of teenagers though. Teenagers around her age, this would definitely be a hit album with them. Someone like myself, I wouldn't typically listen to this album. But I could see why a lot of kids would like it. It's actually fairly dope, it's fairly decent, and so far, I'm having fun, and that's all that counts. So now we are moving on to track number 4. What did I just say there? We are moving on to track number 4, Affiliated featuring Asian Doll. So that was Affiliated featuring the Asian Doll. I never heard of Asian Doll before. She's fairly dope. I like her. Fantastic rapper, honestly. Pretty cool track. I like it. I dig it. What I also like about this album is that most tracks, I want to say every track on here except two of them are actually under 3 minutes, which is nice. So moving on to track number 5 called Geeked featuring Lil Baby. Yeah, hey bitch, I got nothing to lose. So all the songs I've listened to so far have been pretty consistent. There haven't been any that I've hated. There haven't been any that I loved. Pretty consistent, pretty dope, chill album so far. So now we are moving on to track number 6 called No More Love. Okay, so that was No More Love. This is a song I can definitely see being on the radio. It's probably my favorite track on the album so far. Really like it, really did enjoy it. So now we are moving on to track number 7 called Thought Ops, Clout Drop. Okay, so that was Thought Ops Cloud Drop, and this is another one of my favorite songs so far on the album. This one and No More Love, really two dope songs, especially Thought Ops Cloud Drop, really did like it. So now track number 8 called Young and Bad featuring City Girls. My bitch is young and bad. Okay, so that was track number 8, Young and Bad. Definitely a fun song to listen to, as you could tell. And again, like, these songs, all of them, all the ones I've listened to so far, they have been pretty consistent. Nothing really bad, nothing horrible, nothing great, just a decent album so far. And for someone, like Bhad Bhabie, from where she's come from, you know, kudos to her, and 15 years old. You know, she's living the dream. Okay, so track number 9, Count It. Okay, so that was Count It. Count It was okay. It's probably one of those tracks that I would, you know, if I was listening to this album again, it's a track I would probably not really listen to or I would skip over. Not the best song on the album, just okay, I suppose. So now we are moving on to track number 10, Famous, which she most certainly is by now. Okay, so that was Famous. Essentially, how she is essentially the same person now that she's famous, and there are going to be haters. People just want to take pictures of her because she's famous. And there are so many haters out there who are kind of calling her out, saying whatever they want, talking trash. But at the end of the day, she is still who she is. So that's essentially what Famous is about. So now moving on to track number 11 called Hi Bitch. Hi bitch, white J's, white Porsche, white wrists, white horse. So that was Hi Bitch. Another short song, only a minute 45 seconds. It's hard for me to make an assessment or determine if I like a song or not if it's only a minute 45. I typically don't like listening to songs that are under 2 minutes. So it's a little unfortunate some of these songs are under 2 minutes. Almost all of them are under 3 minutes, which is okay. I just wish some of these tracks weren't as short as they are. So at number 12 is Shh. Okay, so that was Shh. What can I say? It's a typical Bhad Bhabie song. I mean, like I said multiple times already, it's a very consistent album. Dope songs, nothing really bad, nothing really spectacular. Fairly good song so far for a debut effort, so no complaints really. So track number 13 is called Trust Me featuring Ty Dollar Sign. So that was Trust Me featuring a Ty Dollar Sign. Really interesting. This is a track that I could definitely hear on, or a song I could have heard on Nicki Minaj's Pink Print album, or one of her earlier albums. It has that sound to it, and to be honest, it doesn't even sound like Bhad Bhabie. I feel like it's heavily autotuned. So yeah, like this track when she does sing, it doesn't really sound like her. But like I said, I mean, this is a song that could have easily been on, a Nicki Minaj album from years back, like the Pink Print or what have you. I actually enjoyed it. It's a cute little song. Doesn't really sound like a Bhad Bhabie song, but it's fairly decent at the same time. I actually really enjoyed it. So now moving on to track number 14, the second last track on the album, About That. Bitch, I'm about that. She's gonna beat your ass. Bitch, about that. You a scary hoe. You ain't fight me though. So watch out for Bhad Bhabie. She will rip you a new asshole, definitely. She will beat the shit out of you. So watch out for this girl. I have no doubt this girl has a few moves she could pull on anyone. Okay, so we have reached the final track on the album. Bhad Bhabie Story Outro. Just trust me, I'll make you a star. Okay, so that was the Bhad Bhabie story of Danielle Bregoli. Essentially, it's a 6-minute monologue of her essentially telling us, the listeners, what she was kind of going through before Dr. Phil and what kind of transpired after the show and the years leading up to this album. How people started searching for her, how people started bringing her to LA to record her debut album. The kind of conflicts that were happening behind the scenes with her father. Also, the new shock that fame brought. For example, she was saying how she wasn't on Instagram for 7 months, and all of a sudden she logs in, and she has 500,000 followers. So dealing with this newfound fame, traveling to LA for the first time, recording an album. Essentially, she's telling her story, her side of the story. A lot of people are quick to make judgments and assessments of her just from being with a Dr. Phil, something that's so irrelevant, according to her. But without that show, she wouldn't be where she is today. And I gotta say, she has to be in it for the long haul. She will have haters. She will have people judging her for the rest of her life. She needs to just shut those people out. I can't imagine what it's like to deal with fame. As myself, I'm not a famous person. So I don't know what it's like to deal with newfound fame. But I can imagine it can be really hard hearing all these opinions, all these negative connotations of what people think of you, people thinking they know you. So here's a 13-year-old at the time, before the whole Dr. Phil scenario. I imagine someone who had much drama in her life, lots of conflict. I imagine her upbringing wasn't easy by any means, from what I hear in regards to her father and whatnot. Also, drugs, whatnot, abuse, who knows. But seeing where she is now, 15, releasing this album, hopefully this kind of steers her in the right direction. Again, she's only 15. The future can only tell. All I can say is keep up the good work. This was a fairly decent album. Give it a shot. You might see her in a different light, perhaps. If anything, if you skip all these tracks, you don't want to listen to her music. If anything, listen to the Bhad Bhabie story, the final track on the album. It's not really a song, it's more of a monologue. Again, it's her assessing her life up until the point of Dr. Phil and the events that occurred after it. So if you want her perspective, if you want her opinion on what had happened, give that track a go. And then when it comes to my recommendation of this album, I personally wouldn't listen to this album. I personally wouldn't listen to this album. It's not really my shtick. But in terms of 15-year-olds, teenagers, I can see this being very relatable. I can see them gobbling this album up. And who knows what the future has in store for her. Maybe she has a long-term career in music and other endeavors. Who knows? Or maybe this is her 15 minutes of fame. Maybe she will eventually go back to the way life was before all of this. Cash me outside, indeed. So if you're curious about the world surrounding Bhad Bhabie, Danielle Bregoli, I suggest listening to this album, give me a shot. And who knows, she might surprise you at the end of the day. So yeah, that is essentially my first listen and album review of her debut album. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. My next album review will be, for sure, Cher's ABBA covers album, so stay tuned for that, and have an awesome weekend, guys. Bye.